of death penalty and the criminalization of witchcraft accusation. In fact, it is because of that in October 2010, Ghana secured a space at the at the Human Rights Committee. We had a chair at the Human Rights Committee at the UN. It was the same bill that in January, the Honorable Attorney General referred to during our periodic review, because for the last 20 years, anytime we go for review, all we say is that, oh, we are in the process and nothing gets done. We are in the process, nothing gets done. This is the only time there has been a bold step that has resulted into an act of parliament. And so for me, I think that it's quite sad. It's sad because as a young politician, my goal is to aspire for goals that are, that brings us together. These are causes that are not, for example, those on death row, some could be NPP, some could be NDC. It's not like, it's a completely, it's apolitical. What happens with all these legal regimes and things happening, it could be apolitical. And the people who are being charged for offenses that carry death penalty, in fact, when you check the history, even of death penalty, even in Ghana, most of the executions, including the execution of a former head of state, happen under a military regime, and it's politicians who are mostly targeted. And so the urgency to really review these laws is there. For me, that's my goal. So if the president wants to do this, there's no problem. But the fact that nobody has shown commitment to this process, but Parliament takes it on by the introduction of private members bill, the Speaker admits the bill, it goes through all the consultative processes and everything, it gets passed, and then the president now impeaches.
Help me understand
the integrity of Parliament.
Help me understand something.
Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
You were till for a PENDREAM TV in Pacho. When you say the news not all for my near the bro. News say all babeti in Pacho. So what when one drink Trebia and also what drink Trefa. News be I present your platform where you saw for your voice note not for sending it. I was 0277 128777. The debate 2 PENDREAM FM so Magana for you not on. Young call Nenko and a story the bro.
But before I get into the conversation with them, there is trouble brewing between the executive and the legislature. And just in case you're not aware, it has to do with the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2023. Now, let's watch what happened in Parliament yesterday.
Amendment number 2. Bill 2023 and when he raised this, I told him that I completely disagree with him, and I gave my reasons. He disagreed with me and he proceeded to submit, and as he holds my views, and this process will have to be gone through, we cannot backslide by somebody's understanding of what the Constitution says without basis, no facts. I said he's not been properly briefed because we went through all the processes he's mentioning. Please, when I submit my statement, you'll be permitted to make your comments. As at now, I'm just to read it for you and then indicate, or to use a constitutional term, signify my position on the matter, which I have done. And so I'll come back with a full statement, and I said in the form of a statement under Article 53, and then the whole House will give the opportunity to make comments on it.
You don't even know what I'm going to say. And then you are saying to me that preemptively that you are not going to allow me to make any statement. You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Majority Leader, you are not the first timer in this House.
I know.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not the first speaker.
Yes.
Please resume your seat.
Mr. Speaker,
votes and proceedings of Saturday.
All right, so that was the Speaker of Parliament yesterday expressing his views on the letter written to Parliament by His Excellency the President. and it has to do with the memorandum to the Speaker of Parliament, Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2023, Criminal Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill 2023, and Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2023. And I just read the intro. It says, this memorandum is submitted in accordance with Article 1068 of the Constitution and further to my letter dated 28 November 2023, conveying to you my refusal to assent to the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2023, the Criminal Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill 2023, and Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2023. The bills. Article 1068 states as follows. Where the President refuses to assent to a bill, he shall within 14 days after the refusal state in a memorandum to the Speaker any specific provisions of the bill which in his opinion should be reconsidered by Parliament, including his recommendations for amendments, if any. As I indicated during our conversation, while the contents of these bills have my support, there are constitutional concerns regarding their passage by Parliament related to Article 108 of the Constitution, which have profound implications for the integrity of the legislative process. So the President seeks to, in 4 pages, give a background and also give a basis for his refusal to assent to the bills. Now, interestingly, this private member's bill was sponsored by the Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu, who is a member of Parliament for Medina. And I understand that he's actually the sponsor of 16 private members' bills in Parliament. And he's here with me. We'll deal with this issue, and then our panel will join us. Francis, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Doug. And good morning to our cherished listeners this morning.
I'm sure that you've seen the President's letter to Parliament dated the 12th of December.
That is correct.
You heard the Speaker. You were in the House yesterday.
Yes, please, I was.
Okay, and you are the sponsor of the bill. I can't ask you if you are disappointed, because you obviously are. But what do you make of this stalemate?
First of all, just to make a very quick correction, I think for the criminal amendments, criminal offences amendment number 1 and 2,
yes,
are those that are single-handedly sponsored.
Okay.
But for the criminal amendment number 1, which is a death penalty, I single-handedly sponsored. By the witchcraft accusation,
yes,
we had other members of Parliament,
okay,
Honourable Ladi Ayamga, Honourable Dr. Gisao, Godfred Sedu, Honourable Helen Adjuan Tosu, and then Honourable Betty Nana Efia Crosby.
Right.
And so there are other members of Parliament involved in this. I think that the stalemate is a very unfortunate one because when I look at the processes that we've gone through in terms of broad consultation with almost all stakeholders, from the Office of Attorney General, the Judiciary, the Ghana Police Service, Prison Service, even the Presidency, because there was a day that we paid courtesy call on the President with the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Amnesty International, and everyone, where the Attorney General was in attendance, members from the Foreign Mission were in attendance, and the President on that day actually gave his full support to the bills and called for a cross-party approach to passing the bill. And so I saw that as a very significant step, because I know that we can be partisan, we can be political, and yet be non-partisan, particularly when it comes to global causes and causes that affect the generality of our people. For example, when you take the anti-witchcraft bill like this, even since the passage of the bill in July, we've had about 5 women killed again on account of witchcraft accusation. So basically, we can't wait. And Randy, Doc, if you had taken the steps to visit maybe Patinga, Ghani, and some of the areas where we have these witch camps, if you visit them, you interact with these women, you would come out and say that you want a bill tomorrow, you want a law tomorrow to stop this. But if you don't leave out the experiences, the violations that these people go through every day, you would think that you have time. And so the initial posturing of the President gave me a lot of hope and excitement, because then I knew that, well, Yeah, we could be political, but we can be non-partisan when it comes to some very crucial causes which have global impact and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, what has happened now is a complete anticlimax for me, and I think it sends a very, very wrong signal to the international community of how even prepared we are as a people to promote inclusiveness, to promote participatory democracy, to respect the space of legislation, and to be committed to the fight for fundamental rights and protect the most vulnerable class. That is what I make of what is happening now.
Now, the president, in summary, the president says that upon a thorough review of the relevant constitutional and legislative frameworks, specifically Article 108 of the Constitution and Section 100 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016 Act 921, it is evident that the bills introduced as private members' bills by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Medina constituency, Francis Xavier Kojo Sosu, do not conform with the provisions of the Constitution. These bills, which abolish the statutory death penalty and criminalize the activities of witch doctors or witch finders, entail substantial financial obligations on the Consolidated Fund and other public funds of Ghana due to the projected costs related to imprisonment, sustenance, and health care for those who will be convicted under the bills when they become law. Therefore, in light of their significant fiscal impact, these bills should not have been introduced without prior fiscal impact analysis, nor without my initiation or on my behalf. The absence of such an analysis precludes these bills from being properly classified as private members' bills. The legislative power entrusted to Parliament comes with the responsibility to ensure that all enacted laws comply with the constitutional provisions, safeguarding the nation's fiscal integrity and upholding the principles of governance. Mr. Speaker, it is for the above reasons that I, in preserving the sanctity of the legislative process, refuse to assent to the bills. I take this opportunity to reiterate my support for the contents of the bills and my intention for them to be reintroduced in Parliament on my behalf in due course. So the president says that he is on all fours with what the bill seeks to do. However, he thinks that these bills will impose financial obligations on the state. And he thinks that it therefore is contrary to the Public Financial Management Act 921 and then Article 108 of the Constitution. And therefore, these bills should have been introduced on his behalf or in his name. So he's asking for the right thing to be done. It should be introduced in his name or on his behalf. And then he will do what is right.
Well, I mean, Randy, it's really not about who brings this bill. As far as I'm concerned, it's about protection of the most vulnerable in society. And
you don't care about what the law says.
No. It's not about what the law says. In fact, the law the president is referring to, with all due respect to the president got it wrong. In the first place, what you just read actually amount to the president constituting itself into a Supreme Court, reviewing the actions of Parliament.
Why?
Because that is exactly what it is. That is what he says. That he's protecting the sanctity. The president does not have an obligation to protect sanctity of a parliamentary process. That obligation lies in the legislature. It lies in the hands of the Speaker of Parliament. Now, Article 108 refers to Parliament. You can open Article 108 and check. It falls under the legislature. Article 108 only regulates.
So this is 108.
Yes.
Let me just, for the benefit of our audience, settlement of financial matters. 108 says Parliament shall not, unless the bill is introduced or the motion is introduced by or on behalf of the president, proceed upon a bill including an amendment to a bill that, in the opinion of the person presiding, makes provision for any of the following: I, the imposition of taxation or the alteration of taxation.
Imposition of taxation or alteration.
Yes.
Otherwise, by reduction.
Yes. Imposition of a charge.
Imposition
of a charge.
So
on the
bill must impose a charge.
Or other public funds of Ghana, or the alteration of any such charge. Otherwise, than by reduction. I think this is what the president relies on.
And the question is, you see, The president was being, one, preemptive, two, presumptive, and we are talking, the reality today is that these bills never went to parliament without a fiscal impact analysis. So you can check the committee of Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, where I serve as a deputy ranking member. Each of these bills came with a fiscal impact analysis.
Really?
Yes.
The president says it was not done.
See, that's what Speaker says, that he wasn't, what he's saying is not factual.
Yes.
And that he has not been properly briefed. These bills have gone through a number of consultative processes. Because bills you don't just get up and introduce bills. I mean, from 2021, it's gone through a series of consultation, and each of them had impact analysis, fiscal impact analysis, before they were passed. And it's very important for us to understand one thing, that it's not for nothing that these bills were not taken under certificate of urgency. When a bill is gazetted, it gives notice to the world, including the president. If you have issues, you bring those issues. Now, when the bill is read the first time, refer to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs or any of the relevant committees. It opens up the space for everyone who has issue to get involved. And the truth is that right from the word go, the Honorable Attorney General has been part of the process, because we always had representation from Attorney General's office. In fact, I even filed a parliamentary question on the floor of Parliament, and on the 27th July 2021, the Honorable Attorney General was in Parliament and made references to this bill. There was no way that this issue ever came up. So, in fact, in my respectful view, this is an afterthought, and it is petty partisanship over protection of the collective, over the protection of the most vulnerable people in our society. And for me, once again, I think that it is a big anticlimax, particularly for a president who historically has been touted as somebody who fights for human rights and all that.
Are you suggesting?
I think that the bill at this stage is only losing out on the altar of partisanship, something we shouldn't be.
Why will the president engage in partisanship on this?
Well, I think
how does it benefit him?
I think that is a question for the president, because you see,
he's pointed to the law. He says that
Randy, the law
is an aberration of the Constitution.
No, but Randy, in the first place, when Parliament infringes the law, recently, there was a situation during the e-levy where it was alleged that the speaker, the second deputy speaker, shouldn't have voted when he voted. Who gave ruling on that matter? It was the Supreme Court. If you are seeking for judicial review, you go to Supreme Court.
Yeah, but in this case, Honorable Sosu, you are the lawyer.
Yes.
So help me here.
Yes.
In this case,
yes,
it has come to the president for assent. The president, irrespective of his prior knowledge and participation in the process, his Attorney General's participation, everything, now realizes that, maybe it didn't come to mind, but now I see that 108 is being breached by Parliament. I cannot assent if I honestly believe that this constitutes a breach of the Constitution. So let me have a conversation with Mr. Speaker first. And then, on the basis of our disagreement, let me now write and inform Mr. Speaker in Parliament why I'm unable to assent. I mean, this is my reason. How is the president wrong in refusing to assent and giving a reason? Because he refers to the law. That the law says that where he decides not to assent, he must give reasons to Parliament within 14 days. And
you should read that provision again. What he's supposed to do, Article 106.
Yes.
You have Article 106. You read Article 106 again. Read Article 106, read it. What he's supposed to do. What he's supposed to have.
Where the president refuses to assent to a bill, he shall, within 14 days after the refusal, state in a memorandum to the Speaker any specific provisions of the bill, which in his opinion should be reconsidered by Parliament.
A provision of the bill.
Yes.
So this memo should have been addressing specific provisions.
Yes.
Which he believes.
Yes.
Imposes a particular charge. Then you can go ahead. Read further. You can see.
Okay.
Yes.
Then he says that be informed the Speaker that he has referred the bill to the Council of State for consideration and comments under Article 90 of this Constitution.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
9. Parliament shall reconsider a bill taking into account the comments made by the President of the Council of State as the case may be under clause 8 of this article.
You see, so the point is that you are supposed to appoint out specific provisions and make your comment. Now, the provision you just read, where in that provision does it provide that the president has to represent the bill? Where in that provision?
That's what?
Does the law make provision for the president representing the bill? What you just read right now.
Yeah.
You see,
now the president is saying that this bill imposes a financial.
Where is the evidence of? You see, okay.
He says that. No, yeah. I can read that to you. He says that in a letter dated 15 September 2023, the Attorney General advised me as follows, and the C. It says the Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2023 and Criminal Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill 2023 are private members' bills, which abolish the death penalty by replacing the death penalty with life sentences.
Can we stay just there for a moment?
Yes.
You see, currently, the current practice in Ghana is that for the last 30 years, anybody convicted for murder or convicted for an offense that has a death penalty is kept in prison for nearly, say, 20 years, after which it is commuted to a definite term. So by the time you are about 38 years or something in prison, you are released. That's the practice, current practice. So this law regularizes that practice. As we speak, you can check how much every inmate spends on a daily basis. It's 1 cedi 80 pesos. Whether you're on death row or on life sentence. So if you are commuted to life, and that's what I'm saying, that there are fiscal impact analysis that shows that there is no financial obligation, there's no charge.
But even if it's one person and there's 1 cedi 80 pesos a day,
it doesn't. You see, the 1 cedi 80 pesos. You see, if you read the law very carefully, the law says the bill you are presenting should impose. That's a positive action. You see, when we talk about imposition.
So let me finish that part. It says replace the death penalty with life sentences and hold financial implications for the consolidated fund or other public funds of Ghana in terms of the provisions of prison facilities. Feeding and health care for the persons convicted to serve life sentences when the bills are assented to by the president. The introduction and subsequent passage of the bills as private members' bills do not comply with the requirements of subparagraphs 2 and 3 of paragraph A of Article 108 of the Constitution.
Again, the president does not have the power to make this determination. In all due respect, you see, it's not for nothing that we have separation of powers. It's not for nothing. The reason why we have judiciary, we have the executive, we have the legislature. You see, the potential of a very domineering executive to do this is a reason why there is a principle of separation of powers. So that if you are of the view that any institution, if I'm of the view, if the speaker is of the view that the president has taken an action which violates the constitution, speaker will not just say that the president has violated the constitution, so I won't go ahead to do what I'm supposed to do, or properly so. If there is anything, if there must be a challenge, you take it to the Supreme Court and say that it is, in my view, the president did A, B, C, D, and it amounts to a violation of the constitution.
But Lawyer Sosu, 1068 envisages a situation where a president will refuse to assent the bill.
That is correct.
Which means that the presentation of the assent of the president is not automatic.
That is correct.
There could be
situations
where the president, believing that something is wrong, can refuse to assent.
But you see, that belief. You see, the point is, the belief is what we are interrogating now. You see,
but who makes that determination? This is, as we speak today, my point is that Parliament feels that it's done the right thing. At least the Speaker. And you, as the sponsor, you believe you've done the right thing. The Speaker says that he would present his for Parliament to deal with it. The President, upon the advice of his Attorney General, believes that what Parliament has done is wrong. And he believes that it imposes a financial burden. One, he stated them, provision of prison facilities and the upkeep of such people once they are incarcerated. Just hold on a minute. He believes that these imposes a financial implications on the consolidated fund. And his understanding of 108 is that to the extent that these financial implications are there, then that bill should have come from him or have been introduced on his behalf and not a private member's bill.
You see,
on that basis,
but that
he will
is
not
where,
assent.
Yeah, you see,
so he says he agrees with everything, but let it come in my name.
No, you see, I don't have a problem.
Yes.
If this bill were coming in the name of the president. You see, but I think that, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
The president has been president for how many years?
7.
7 years.
Yes.
Do you know the time that the Constitutional Review Commission first did its work and recommended that Ghana remove death penalty? It was January 2010. January 2010. That's why the Constitutional Review Commission asked that we remove death penalty and replace it with life sentence. When you look at the government white paper, because government is a continuous process, right? The government white paper on page 44, government accepts the recommendation of the Constitutional Review Commission that death penalty in Article 3 of the Constitution be completely abolished and the death penalty replaced by life imprisonment. This is way back in 2011. When you go, the Supreme Court has had a course in cases of Dexter Johnson versus the Republic in 2011 to make the claim that it is Parliament that must take steps to amend the law, the mandatory death penalty. And so when a private member, after all the consultations, introduced the bill, and this is something that has been a national conversation, I don't think that it will be so fair on the process. I don't think that this is a good time to impeach the integrity of the law-making process.
You think the president is being petty?
When I think that is petty partisanship over protection of fundamental rights. Look, this year, Randy, this is 2023. Check internationally. If there is any good news that the global community has celebrated about Ghana, it's about abolishment of death penalty and the criminalization of witchcraft accusation. In fact, it is because of that, in October 2010, Ghana secured a space at the at the Human Rights Committee. We had a chair at the Human Rights Committee at the UN. It was the same bill that in January, the Honorable Attorney General referred to during our periodic review, because for the last 20 years, anytime we go for review, all we say is that, oh, we are in the process and nothing gets done. We are in the process, nothing gets done. This is the only time there has been a bold step that has resulted into an act of parliament. And so for me, I think that it's quite sad. It's sad because as a young politician, my goal is to aspire for goals that are, that brings us together. These are causes that are not, for example, those on death row, some could be NPP, some could be NDC. It's not like, it's a completely, it's apolitical. What happens with all these legal regimes and things happening, it could be apolitical. And the people who are being charged for offenses that carry death penalty, in fact, when you check the history, even of death penalty, even in Ghana, most of the executions, including the execution of a former head of state, happen under a military regime, and it's politicians who are mostly targeted. And so the urgency to really review these laws is there. For me, that's my goal. So if the president wants to do this, there's no problem. But the fact that nobody has shown commitment to this process, but Parliament takes it on by the introduction of private members' bill, the Speaker admits the bill, it goes through all the consultative processes and everything, it gets passed, and then the president now impeaches.
Help me understand
the integrity of Parliament.
Help me understand something.
Yes.
I have this document with me.
Which one?
This document. It says Criminal Offence Amendment Act 2023.
Yes.
Okay. It has the signature of the Clerk of Parliament.
That's correct.
And then that's 2nd August. And he has a signature of the President, 2nd August 2023.
Yes.
How is this related to what we are discussing?
The point is that this was the first amendment that was passed.
Yes.
With the criminal amendment number 1. That deals with murder, treason, and all those things that have been changed into life sentence. In fact, on account of this answer, so when the bill was transmitted to the president assented to the bill. And on account of that assent, I can tell you that there were courts that convicted people for murder and things and sentenced them to life imprisonment.
So hold on.
Yes.
This one
Yes.
that the president assented to on
Yes.
the 2nd of August
Yes.
included life sentences, so
Yes.
custodial sentences,
Yes. Yeah.
which
It's a
by
life
the
sentence.
president's, by the president's, will it be fair to say logic? In his refusal to assent, imposes a financial burden on the state.
No,
I'm saying that by the argument of the president.
Yes.
This one,
Yes.
which is also a private member's bill, imposes.
Yes, that's
because
correct.
when people are incarcerated
Exactly.
like this,
Yes.
the state must provide
It is life sentence.
Yes.
Like that logic.
But the same logic.
Assented.
But yet the president assented.
That's correct. Now you see the issue.
And
is
1 month later,
he says that I'm not assenting. You see, so and it's quite curious because you see, when this bill went to the president assented to it on the 2nd of August. After the assent, then the other bills were processed. This is criminal amendment number 2, which is the witchcraft, that deals with the witchcraft, and then the Armed Forces Amendment. Now the Armed Forces Amendment was sent to the president on the 30th of August 2023. Together with the witchcraft amendment and everything. No, the witchcraft at the time had not gone. Now, from the 30th of August 2023 to 28th of November 2023, the president already had breached the constitution. You see, because
14 days elapsed.
Yeah, I mean from 30th of August to 28th November. Because he made the indication to Parliament on 28th November. I'm talking about only the armed forces. Because the Armed Forces Amendment, together with what we just made reference to, is what abolished the death penalty for ordinary crimes. So, in respect of the Armed Forces Amendment, the president had actually violated the constitution. The constitution that he had taken an oath to protect. But that was not even an issue. The point is that eventually when the witchcraft bill was remitted to the president on the 27th, the president now, in his indication on the 28th, bundles all the bills together, including the one he has earlier on signed, and says that now all the 3 bills, I now decline my assent for all of them, including this one that he
Meanwhile,
signed.
this one he has assented already.
Earlier. So how do you assent to a bill and turn around to say that I decline assent? And so now I'm withdrawing the withdrawal of the assent.
But in any case, if the president's letter to Parliament is dated 12th of December,
Yes.
how can it be declining assent to something that he had assented,
He had
on
assented
2nd
to
of
earlier
August?
on.
In fact, even if he were to take advantage of the 14 days,
Yes.
which is in the constitution,
Exactly.
his refusal to assent.
Exactly.
You cannot receive something on the 2nd of August, and say you're refusing to assent on 12th of December.
So
it's
honestly,
obviously out of time.
there is a lot of constitutional infractions with respect to that. And I think that, I mean, in the interest of our nation, in the interest of the international community, and all those who are watching the space, for me, I think it's a bit unfortunate, and I hope that the president will have the opportunity to remedy the situation.
Well, by the logic of the president, it appears that then virtually almost all the things I see here, these private members' bills, by the president's position, all of this will not get a presidential assent because they might impose something on him. And I don't know if you've heard it. There are people, once this thing came up, the conspiracy theories have started.
Okay.
And they're saying that, look, this is perhaps a precursor to the president saying that, well, he will not assent to the LGBTQI one because obviously there's the issue of incarceration.
And for me, that argument is really a very, very weak argument for the president. You see, because
I'm saying that once this precedent is set, then once the LGBTQI is forwarded to him, all he has to say is that
what it actually means is that what it actually means is that
my position on this.
You see, and I think that, and with all due respect to the presidency, I believe that, I mean, the Speaker of Parliament is not taking these matters, I mean, slightly because what the president is doing is simply shutting the door to private members' bills. And it took a long time within this fourth republic for us to get to where we are. It was in the 7th Parliament that Right Honorable Speaker, Professor Mike Okwe, in fact, opened the space so we can do this. And it's so critical because you can imagine that we are in this country for the last 7 years. And some of these very critical issues are lost on us. So private members can participate in introducing these critical laws. If you look at all these 16 private members bill, like compensations bill, you look at tax on parts, you look at the issues of mental health as part of NHIS, you look at issues of cancer in children, you look at issues of victims of sexual violation, you look for issues of like 5% employment of persons with disability. These are major social causes that sometimes genuinely a government may miss out on. Because government has, you have the whole nation to take care of. You have your fiscal space to be thinking about. So if you shut the door,
but they have financial implications.
Not necessarily. No, you see, even if they do, the only person that has the power to make that determination is the Speaker of Parliament.
But if the Speaker is wrong in his determination, the President can refuse to assent.
No, you see, that would be wrong.
Why?
Because there is nowhere in the law, in the Constitution, that says that President can decide not to assent.
No, the President,
because
the 1068 allows a President to refuse to assent. However, it says that when he refuses within 14 days, he should provide a reason to Parliament.
Read Article 296 of the Constitution. You see, because the space over there is discretionary powers.
Yes.
Given to the President to determine the circumstance under which he can actually exercise that discretionary powers.
Yes.
If we Article 296.
Yes. Okay. So
today we are doing constitutional laws more on the show.
Okay, so exercise of discretionary power.
Yes.
Where in this constitution or in any other law, discretionary power is vested in any person or authority.
So in this case, in the President,
that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair.
Fair
and candid.
Candid.
The exercise of discretionary power shall not be arbitrary.
It shall not be arbitrary.
Capricious. Or biased. Either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike.
You see?
And shall be in accordance with due process of law. And C says, when the person or authority is not a judge or other judicial officer, they shall be published by constitutional instrument. So it's basically the A and B. It shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid, and it shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased, either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike.
And given the widespread nature of the consultative process, it will be so strange at this stage for the President to be alleging this. Otherwise, it means that he's actually abusing. The discretionary powers.
So where do we go from there?
Well, there are many things that are happening. The Speaker is going to submit a statement. We are submitting a petition to the Council of State. For the first time, we want to see how effective our Council of State is, and whether our Council of State can actually advise the President. Can actually advise the President to do the needful, because we believe that the President has been misled in respect of this bill. I think that partisanship over form and courses that should be beneficial to everybody. And so for the first time, I think that will make a case before the Council of State.
Should somebody be heading to the Supreme Court?
Well, that's also a course of action that is available. But you see, it's quite funny, because yesterday I had a conversation with the Learned Attorney General. He said, but you can go to Supreme Court. I'm like, if we can go to Supreme Court, why didn't the President go to Supreme Court to challenge the Speaker's power?
Because he had the power not to assent. And so
that is very, very arbitrary. And for me, it's a very, very wrong exercise of that discretionary power. Yes.
All right. Okay. So, Honorable Sosu, thanks for joining me.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
I think that we've really gone into these things. We'll take a break. We'll return.
Story OTCC a platform my friend PENDREAM TV and I uti story no na o feedback we hear empa story awati no any story be our platform no so be awati a opese o my feedback no fafa WhatsApp message or WhatsApp number 0277128777 na yebebo e wo PENDREAM FM Ghana for nyina ate won ka
Debi kama amena PENDREAM TV ase na so far so good say open online portal e wo Ghana nipa share nipa follow nipa comment here to my best of knowledge without any biases PENDREAM TV